guys, hi, and thank you for tuning in. Just to let you know right at the start, we are doing this as a video and a podcast, so if you're listening, feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Sam W. Martin. It'll also be on the Apothecary 87 YouTube channel, and if you're watching, feel free to check out my podcast, again, search for Sam W. Martin. Anyway, to jump straight into it, today I'm joined with Gary Spencer, who is a bit of a legend in the barbering industry, particularly in the UK, and branching out across Europe. Gary runs an event called the Great British Barber Bash, which is something that I can't say quickly.
No.
But Great British Barber Bash is this awesome event that seems to have taken the UK barbering scene by storm, really, and has grown very rapidly over the past few years. I mean, can we just have a little introduction to what the show is?
Certainly. I mean, the Barber Bash started about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was sort of an answer to all the typical hairdressing shows that had a bit of barbering in.
Yeah.
I came up with the idea. I was on holiday actually, and I'd done quite a lot of shows around through over the years, and I decided that the shows that I was going to in the barbering world were probably just falling short of what I would like to go to myself. So we started with the first show in Southport, where I'm actually based.
Yeah.
And it was like a pilot show, and it was very wrong, really. A lot of it was wrong, but we filled it. We sold like 300 odd tickets.
Yeah.
And the idea was to have just barbering. So we had Sid Satong from Nottingham, who's brilliant. We had the Master Barbers from Southport. We had Alan Beacon.
Yeah.
Names. But straight away, like with anything creative, you think, I did that wrong, I did this wrong. So we then quickly moved on. We did Scotland. We went to Scotland and did something. And again, it started to gain momentum. And all as well on the back of social media. A lot of it was social media driven. When we started to do the show, we started an Instagram account, we started a Facebook account, and they've grown quite big.
Yeah.
You know, we've got some, not humongous, but we've got 38,000, 39 followers on both Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, it's good following.
And that's helped us move forward with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I've noticed about the Great British Barber Bash is it's got a very different feel to a lot of the industry events out there.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of talk a little bit about what makes you different to the standard, hair industry shows?
Well, basically, as I said before, most of the shows are hairdressing shows, and they're done for a reason in like these big aircraft hangar type places. Sal International, which is a fantastic show, I've been going there 30 years myself. You've got Pro Air Live, which is fantastic. You've got loads of shows.
Yeah.
But what we decided to do, after doing the first pilot in Southport, we looked at the audience that we're getting, and most of the guys are probably from the age of 17 to 30. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to get that sort of vibe from? And the sort of clubby, warehousey kind of environment much more befits the guys coming with tattoos and the fashionable clothes than some sort of the Starlight Suite at the local hotel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started to look for quirky venues, and luckily over the last 4 years we've identified a few that have worked really well. The Camp and Furnace in Liverpool, where we're returning.
I've been there. That's
we've got Victoria Warehouse in Manchester, which is another sort of old rave warehouse. But a lot of these places are a lot more sophisticated. You think behind the scenes they have like good sound technicians and all that stuff. So we just decided that we wanted to do something that when the guy like yourself walks in, you'd be like, this is a cool place. Not a sort of a place with sticky carpet and an old sort of bronze chandelier.
I know that sticky carpet all too well from the trade shows.
So that was our thing, and also we wanted to have some soul to it. So although the other shows are very good and I respect them, we didn't want a row of guys in suits going, oh, try my hair loss powder, try my such thing, try my Hoover for hair, and like a load of double glazing salesmen lined up trying to flog the latest thing. We wanted it to be more about the stage and what was happening on
this
there.
is what I like about your show. You know, when we go to, as Apothecary 87, we do all kinds of different trade shows all around the world, and it's very much the same thing whether we're in, Italy, Russia, America, UK, and there's those rows of brands just trying to push product on people. And the thing that really stood out about the Great British Barber Bash for me was when I walked in, it wasn't like that. It wasn't brand heavy. You weren't being sold something. You were focusing on the core of the industry, which is quality cutting and styling, and the people who are involved in doing that, and showcasing to everyone else how they can improve techniques, and bringing all those people together in this community. and that's really what made you guys stand out to me.
Well, the thing with it is obviously there is a reason for certain types of shows. You know, people do need to sell the product and all that. And we do want to have sponsors and exhibitors at our shows, but we just don't want it to be the main focus. Well, the main focus is we tend to have 4 teams present on the main stage, and then we have the exhibitors around the room. And what we're trying to do, and we've cultivated on the last 3 or 4 shows in particular, is we're in activity around the room as well. So you don't have to stand and watch all the time, because most people in our industry aren't, we're doing people, we like to do stuff. So the attention span is quite low, and we understand that. So instead of making them sit in a chair like school class, we want them to be able to walk around. If they want to grab a beer, they can have a beer. If they want a piece of pizza, if they want to go buy some stuff, making it a bit more free-flowing, really.
So where did all this kind of come from? What inside you said, I want to be a person that goes out and creates this event that stands out from every other event out there?
I think, well, I've always been involved in, I started herd wrestling in 1986, believe it or not. And you meant to say you don't look old enough. And I've always been involved in doing shows and demo work, and I've worked quite a few different places. And I must admit, I am an organiser. I love organising. I get a buzz out of organising. You know, the planning before, although it might seem a bit sort of manic at the time, I actually really enjoy that.
You love seeing it all come together from the chaos of
and also I sort of, we'll probably come back onto it later, I'd had 5 hairdressing salons, and in the recession of about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I'd got rid of them because I'd fallen out of love a little bit with it. And I wanted to find something new to motivate me. I started working with Sid Satong from Nottingham, and I did a couple of hair shows with him. And then my mind started working. I was actually on holiday in Spain. I walked around the pool, I came back to my wife who was sat there, and I said, the Barber Bash. Let's do a barber show, but let's make it a cool event. Let's make it a bit different than some other events. And that's how it was born. And then, like with everything else, I'm quite an obsessive kind of character. So I just started working non-stop. I mean, like I wake up at 4 in the morning and I'm on like go to the loo or something, and I'm tick, should we have it? Should we get in? Should we? So I'm constantly thinking about it.
I know that feeling. When you're in that, I mean, it's quite a creative thing to be in anyway. So your mind's going to be constantly going. So, and I mean, you're getting a really great following now of people coming to these shows. You know, you've got a good story, you've got a great mission to bring this community together. You're how many a year are you doing now?
Well, we've done 4 main shows, but from that grew, like about 4 years ago, we started doing our workshops as well, which are where we go into salons to do our education stuff. And then we also do these sort of mini barber bashes at colleges. Believe it or not, we did 30 of those in the last year, about 28 or something. But the main shows are really my main love. We've got Amsterdam coming up, which I'm really looking forward to, just because I love Amsterdam. We're going back to Liverpool to make it really great this time. And next year, hopefully, we'll do 4 more. We're looking at Dublin. So hopefully Dublin, because I love Dublin. It will be Liverpool or Manchester again. London, we've been twice now and done that. So we just keep rolling with it. You know?
See, that's a lot of shows to do in a year. I mean, I used to work in the event industry way back when I was in the bar trade, and you know, I know how tough it is to organise a show. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and you've got a great following. You mentioned that Amsterdam's going to have about 500 people coming.
About 4 or 5. We tend to, what we've done now, the actual people involved in it has grown. So at first, like, we're learning all the time. Every time I do it, I'm never happy when I do a show. I always come away and think that was wrong. And again, the main goal is for it to be a great show. I forget about the money after a while. You know, just forget about, you know, when it comes around to actually doing the show, all you want to do is have loads of people come. Wow, that was brilliant today. And being motivated. We do get some lovely messages about that kind of thing. But the actual team has grown. So we have there'll be about 100 people actually taking part on the day, from helpers, the videographer, that kind of stuff. And then what we tried to do, it was very important for me to give people an opportunity. So some people will see like younger guys on stage, and well, he shouldn't be on stage, he's only been doing it for 4 years. But my point is I wanted that. I wanted to, yes, we'll have our guys that have been around for a long time, but we'll also have 20 guys who it might be the first time on stage or on a stand. And again, that was another thing that we wanted when we started off. We wanted to have different faces.
Yeah, so it's a great platform for the community of the attendees to become part of the show as well.
I mean, so just one of the things I'm quite proud of is that I think last time we were in Glasgow, we had something like 40 people cutting, and about 15 people had actually started barbering because they come to the Barber show.
Amazing.
Which that mate was, there was a guy called Andy Tuff who's got his own shop in Aberdeen now. He went to train with Alan Beak after coming to a Glasgow show. There were people on there, like several, who'd actually come to a show and said, I like this, I want to be a part of it. Or some of them had actually been in the show and said, I'll be on that stage in a couple of years. And sure enough, a couple of them were, so that was fantastic.
Amazing. So you've really managed to start people's careers off.
Hopefully.
One of the things that I really want to know about is, we've touched on the fact that it's not easy to run events, and especially when you're really trying to redefine what this industry is. I mean, you had a great story to get to where you are. Was it just smooth sailing to set this up?
No. I mean, there's a lot of different obstacles. I mean, you've got to be a bit obsessed with it.
Yeah.
You've got to be obsessed with it because. Luckily what it is people think probably it's maybe just me doing it. We've got Mark who does the videos and photos, so everything we do has to be videoed and photographed. And that helps us grow our Instagram, which again helps us grow our following. My wife actually works almost full time on it. She used to be a bank manager, obviously got 3 children, but she does all the tickets. That in itself is a nightmare, just making sure everybody gets everything on time and whatever. And then we've got Craig who does all our graphics. So again, we put a lot of emphasis, like your company, on everything looking right. We don't have anything that hopefully looks unprofessional. So we've got a lot more people working on it than you would think. But actually doing the show, there are obstacles all the time, but you're obsessed with it. You're sort of thinking about it all the time. Like I'm off to Amsterdam on Monday. I don't really need to go, but if I go myself, I can really look at every nook and cranny. I'll do little videos of it, and I'll know the venue a little bit before I get there. I'm working with Jimmy from Cutthroat in Amsterdam, so we're lining out the DJ, the photography guy. There were a few problems last year with electricity supplies in the venue, so I have to iron all those things out. But I'm planning that sort of 2 months before. We had a bit of an obstacle with some of the old school as well. A lot of the old school probably looked at us as some kind of, they thought the company's like a jumped up teenager almost. So they were looking at it and thought, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Why are they breaking the mould of what we've been doing for a long time? And sometimes if people aren't involved in something, they try and look for maybe a negative. So we had a lot of that with some of the old school barbers. They call themselves old school. Sometimes that is a term used for people who just haven't moved on, in my opinion. But that was because they'd been doing those same old shows for a long time, and then all of a sudden they saw this things happen on Instagram where there's hundreds of people all enjoying themselves on a Sunday, coming together. It's like, oh, they must be up to something. So we do sometimes get a bit of negative press off some certain angles,
Well, I think that it's all paying off because I mean, I've seen the company grow, I've seen the event grow, I've seen people talking about it, and I think one of the most important things for me is I've seen the community that you've built. I know how much hard work's involved, but you've done amazingly well with it. And I think one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk to you today is because personally I see you as someone who's stepped outside the box, who's pushing the boundaries, who's trying to take the barbering industry to the next level, and you're leading, you're taking that, and that is a fantastic inspiration for anyone in the industry, or in the industry and out the industry as well, who's looking at it. There's going to be quite a lot of barbers and people in business who watch this video. Have you got any advice for them on how you've managed to go from, like you said, running your shops and kind of in that narrow, straightforward, this is what I'm doing, this is my job mindset, to I'm going to change an industry mindset?
Well, I think the idea originally was just to do the show, not necessarily change the industry as such. But sometimes when you're thinking with something with fresh eyes, you come up with some ideas that people might have thought of doing before, but haven't actually done. So sort of, as I say, the venues, travelling tirelessly to get around those, find the right venues. As I say, looking at things like, well, why can't we do it that way? You know, why not have it go that way? I definitely think the obsession thing is just something that comes natural to me, and I think you've got to have a bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, to travel to sort of, we were in Pembrokeshire the other night, we finished at 9:30 and we did a 5-hour drive home. So, you know, you've got to be able to put the hours in.
Yeah.
But basically, and I think we discussed it before the interview began, doing something that you would be happy to do yourself. So when I'm going to do a show, I want somewhere that I'm going to want to pay 25 quid to go on a Sunday, and I'm going to come away buzzing, because again, this is a bit controversial. People don't go and learn a haircut. Most of your haircutting skills will be taught in your shop. Your boss should be teaching the younger guys how to cut hair, and the other people within the shop will teach them that.
Yeah.
What they'll then do is they'll go on workshops and stuff where they'll learn different angles and different bits of ideas, and workshops are fantastic for that. But when you go to a big show, you're not actually going to come away and go, right, I'm a different haircutter now. But what you are going to do, you're going to come away hopefully with a motivation and an inspiration. And if you can then go back the following day to and go, can't wait to get stuck in, I'm going to have a go at this. And I saw Alan Beak and I love what he did. And that's what a show should do. A show, for me, should be all about making you just be bouncing to go back into work, you know, get the team going.
It's interesting that those are the points you kind of touched on, because when I talk to people who are successes and they're leading their game in any industry, you know, questioning the norm, so, you know, the fresh pair of eyes that you mentioned, surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, that obsession, and doing what you love, are the same answers in every industry. So it's really interesting that you've just gone over those exact 4 points, which I find awesome. With things being in the event industry, like you said, it's not always plain sailing. Some of it's a bit more difficult events, and every event's different, so it's not like organising the same event every time. You've always got a new challenge. Were there any parts where you thought, this just isn't happening for me?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the problems is, if you're going to do the show in the same place every year, somebody said to me, in fact it was one of the guys, Matt from Barber Connect, said, know your venue. But I can't know my venue, and I want to keep swapping and changing them, and I want to keep swapping and changing them. So what you've then got to realise is that although you're a control freak, you can't be totally in control all the time. So we've learned over the years to try and iron things out as much as possible. But there's been times like when we did London the first year, we get into London, find a venue's difficult, and then what tends to happen is they'll promise you everything at first before you sign on the dotted line. As soon as you've signed, all the conversations you've had before are forgotten about. So we signed on the dotted line to do the show at this particular venue, which was great. But then it was, oh well, we can't do this, and you can't deliver your goods beforehand, and we can't get the chairs there. So like, I felt like my world was
just
caving
booked
in.
this venue, and then they've basically told you can't set up.
I actually remember when we were very lucky. Rusell approached us to launch the product in the UK, and they had Scorum. And I remember having a meeting about that, and I couldn't believe they'd offered to do this. I really appreciate Xavier did that for me. And we sold 700 tickets like that. It was just like a blooming machine counting. The tickets were flying in. And we were booked and we were all ready to go. About 3 days before, the lady from the venue said, well, how many people are coming? I said, well, we sold 700. Oh, you're not meant to have that many people. So I'm having a heart attack at the end of this thing. So things like that happen.
How do you deal with that?
Well, luckily what it was, they couldn't have 700 in the room at the time. But if ever you do an event, you know that, first of all, 10% of people don't show up. They just don't come. They're sick, or they're ill, or the cat's dead. And then 10% are outside having a cigarette. 20% are at the bar. So again, knowing what I know now, there was only 500 or less in the room. But 2 days before on the phone, the blood goes out and you go white and you think, oh, my world's going to collapse.
You're being told you can't run the event you spent all this time on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, hopefully, I'm now getting to a stage where hopefully I'm a little bit more in control, but you're going to come up against adversity. You know, the point is, if it's that easy, everybody do it.
You mentioned before that, you've running events is very difficult, and you kind of thrive off off the challenge of doing it. Obviously, there's been some pretty big hurdles of you getting things done. Do you think you're addicted to that challenge and that?
I'd be bored if I wasn't doing. I have to be doing something. We had a few weeks ago. We had a couple of events cancelled. It happens. We had a show in Ayrshire College, and one thing we had to draw a line under it. So I had 3 weeks where I wasn't doing anything. And whilst I miss my kids when I'm away at the weekends, and I love them 3 weekends, and I was like, I need to be getting on and doing something. It's more like all the staff will tell you, or people who work with me, I write lists all the time. I'm very weird, like writing lists, checking things, and it's there has to be some stimulation going on, you know.
Yeah, that's it's good. I do. I've got a list app on my phone.
That's it.
And I'm constantly doing that, or making notes on the notes app.
Making notes. I don't know what I do with them sometimes, but basically it's just clearing my mind and thinking and making plans. Basically, I do enjoy it. Yeah.
Where do you want to take things next? You're constantly trying more. You're constantly growing. You're constantly developing. Where do you want to take things next, both for the Barber Bash and for the industry?
The show itself, I don't see changing it too much now, in that we'll keep on bringing people over. I see a big thing happening in Russia. I want to bring a lot of Russian barbers over. I see that being a positive, but not necessarily just Russia as well. We've got a guy, Jacob, who came from Poland, and so we see opening up more to bring more people into it. We've got the guy from Spaghetti's in Italy coming to do the show in Amsterdam. So I see us reaching out to more nationalities to be involved. The show itself, if we move too far away from the formula of like the cool venue, how it is, it won't be the Barber Bash anymore, because people could say to us, oh, you could do this big venue and have twice as many people, but I think that would probably move us away from a bit like with the Pocket 387. If you saw it on in every super drug, it would lose its kudos. So I think definitely opening up and developing it, maybe some different cities. We've been offered to do LA. So
amazing venue.
I'm just trying. I know it's going to be a nightmare. I know it. I'm like, that's going to be one.
Have you done much out in LA?
Well, no. I used to work in America as a hairdresser back in 1989, believe it or not. But I've had an offer from two prolific hairdresser barbers over there to do something. So even if it doesn't make money, I'd like to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'd just like to go and do it. And
it's fun out there. Well, we set our offices up for a Poth 387 in LA. And I mean, it's difficult running something that's 8 hours behind where you are, however many thousand miles away. But LA is a great hub. It's a really cool city. I think you do well there.
I think we could build a brand. I mean, the American barbers we've had over, we've had people like Mikey Hanger, Pope the Barber most recently, Julius Caesar, Diego, Famos, Chink, Canadian guys.
All amazing names.
They've all been great. There's definitely something the UK guys have that's slightly different in the dressing that we do. So there's a lot more dressing. I mean, I think Alan Beakey's might be, in my opinion, one of the leaders of that. So I think we can sort of teach them a thing or two in that department, although they have massive qualities of their own also.
They're very different styles.
So it'd be nice to go over there. And as I say, get to a stage where it's not like going just to make some dosh. We can make dosh by doing a show down the road in Preston College. I'd like to go and do that as a challenge.
I think you do well. Okay, so with everything you've done, what is the main thing that you've learned? What is the biggest learning experience that you've had that you can take away from doing all of this?
I think, as I say, that one of the main things, I can't be in control of everything all the time. Things are going to be out of my control.
That's a tough lesson to learn, I know that one.
I think I learned very quickly on things like social media. You're going to get negative comments sometimes. Don't respond to them was probably one of the 2 or 3, 4 years ago. I'd respond to people who said anything negative. I just don't bother with that kind of stuff anymore. I think as long as you're sticking to your main goal of giving people an opportunity, including as many people, like we just had some 50% of the people on stage were female in Glasgow. So as long as you know that you're plodding away in the right direction, if you take 2 steps forward and half a step or 1 step back, you're still moving forward, aren't you? So I think that's the main thing, that we are proud that we've hopefully developed a lot of people who've appeared on the stage now. We're continuing to work with companies like Sid Satong, Mickey and Neil JFH in Belfast. We're still good friends with almost everybody we've ever worked with.
Yeah.
So as long as you know you're sticking to your guns with that, I think you're not doing too bad.
Yeah.
As far as the shows go, at the end of the day, as long as people are buying tickets, we're hopefully doing something right and going in the right direction.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's just been a really like educating journey.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'd never do a show and think, oh, that was anywhere near perfect. There's always something that I want to improve.
You learn more from those things that didn't go quite how you wanted, the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
You learn more from that than the things that went right.
Definitely, and believe it or not, as I say, it gets to a stage where it's not about how many tickets you sold, it's like me knowing that it was any good.
Yeah.
And even if somebody says, oh no, it's great that, I'll go, no, that wasn't good. I know that there was a problem with the sound, or I know there was a problem with, I don't know, the DJ or something, or something that happened throughout the day, or accessibility to the venue, things like that. So my goal is really to make it better and better. So we're returning to Camp and Furnace in November. And when we did our first show there, it was our first big show, but there's teething problems. So now it's my time to cleanse me demons and go back and make it 10 times better than it was last time.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of weirdo in me, really, I suppose. It's sort of, that's what it's about. It's about the show being a good show.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the final question that I've got is it all worth it? Has it been worth it?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I love the travelling we do, although, yes, it's like sometimes.
Well, we had a chat about that before we were on camera.
We're stuck in that, on that motorway in Birmingham or whatever. Yeah, you're not enjoying that. But the places I've been to in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, I've been to every part of Ireland, every part of Scotland, Dubai, Portugal, Spain. It's a lot easier than digging roads. Let's put it that way. I could never see myself as a roofer. So it fits my personality. So it's rewarding. I like all the guys you work with as well. When we get together to do the show, there's going to be problems and probably crosswords occasionally when you've got 50 guys together or 100 guys together. It's not Disneyland we live in, but the way I see it, it's like going to meet a load of mates. So we get together, we do the show. It's a real camaraderie. And again, that's part of the Bar Bash, is that coming together and including everybody in it. I like it when like a young kid of 17 or 16, 17, 18 becomes friends with Ryan Cullen, or becomes friends with Alan Beak, or becomes friends with, they come and have a picture and a selfie, and next minute they're having a chat at the bar. That's the motivation. That's where they'll go back to work the following day and be like made up that they've met the guy that they know through Instagram,
Yeah.
And that's part of it.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's been really insightful, and hopefully everybody who's watching and listening are going to get a lot from this. I know I have, and it's been amazing to find out about your story. I think you should share more of your story online, because I mean, when I was doing the research for today, it's very hard to find out about
the mystery.
Yeah, now we're going to put it everywhere. Everybody's going to know. But it's been really awesome talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, one final thing that popped into my head. Obviously, we want to talk to you because we see you as leading the industry. Who's the one person in your eyes who you think is making waves in the barbering industry? If we had to interview someone for the next video or podcast, who should be sitting in the chair next to us?
Oh, that's a tough one, because I'd hate to leave people out.
You can only choose one.
If I was to choose one, it's got to be Alan Beak.
Yeah.
It's got to be Alan Beak. We worked together so much at the beginning of the Barber Bash, and to me, I admire his work. I mean, I think his work's fantastic. I think his approachability with people, the way he can communicate with people. We've done a lot of workshops together. I mean, I can remember doing our first workshop in Southport, and Reese Beak, Mozambique, was sat there, and I said, Reese, go on, do a haircut. And Reese was actually, he'd never done a haircut in front of people before. We got him up to a haircut. Reese Beak is also a fantastic barber. But obviously we love people like Josh LaMonica, those guys. I think Hayden Cassidy in Berlin is I worked with her the other week, and I think she's going to be somebody who's going to grow and grow. Ryan Cullen I love over in Ireland. The JFH boys are fantastic, but the one guy I'd say was Alan Beak.
Yeah, well, I've actually had a little chat with Alan, and he knows that we need to have a talk about setting something up. Well, he doesn't quite know what yet, but Alan, if you're watching this, that's going to be you next. So
get Alan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Cheers, buddy.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And for everybody watching and listening, if you've enjoyed this, feel free to get in touch with Gary. Any questions that you've got, or
No
myself, any questions. Also, check out the other videos and podcasts in this series, because we're going to be talking to some really cool people. And thank you for taking the time to listen and watch this.
Thank you. Super.
Excellent.